Hey everyone, welcome back for another 3PL Live Sessions episode. This week we're going to be talking about playing nice in the sandbox. Mike, can you tell us what is playing nice in the sandbox and why should people do it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is playing nice in the sandbox? Let's take it all the way back to like preschool, right? When you're in the sandbox at recess, and there's all these other little kids, and you're all trying to share toys and trying to learn to play nice with each other, right? And it's something that seems so elementary, but the trend carries on through adulthood and into our professional lives. And so, what does it mean in the context of what we do and what we're trying to talk about today? So the sandbox, the metaphorical sandbox, consists of, in our case, everybody in the supply chain, right? So it's shippers, carriers, other vendors, customers, every competitors, right? How do we all work together, play nicely with each other to make sure that we can kind of all elevate and raise each other? So that's kind of the theme of today's talk. And we're going to talk a little bit about who you should play nice with, why you should play nice, and what happens if you don't play nice. And so I think what I'll do, Kim, is I'll push it back to you and maybe talk a little bit about maybe the shipper side, since you've been involved in a lot of those integrations specifically, and how we position ourselves to play nicely with our broker clients' shippers and how that kind of plays into playing nice in the sandbox.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of what we focus on with our integrations is integrating with ERPs, WMSs, CMSs, and even outside of shippers, even competitors, TMSs, and other platforms. And really the benefit of that when you integrate well with any platform, because here's the reality is that when it comes to TMS software or any piece of software, you're going to have competitors that are good at things or better at things than you might be in certain situations, and you might be better at certain things in other situations. And your customers, there's not a one size fits all system. And so you need to be able to integrate with any of these platforms so that they can all work seamlessly without having to log in to multiple platforms at once. So when it comes to shippers, for our freight brokers, for example, we integrate directly into their ERP platforms, WMSs, CMSs, and that's all done by working hand in hand with these other platforms, whether that be, SAP their TMS, or, competitors' TMSs. We try not to ever create an environment where it's going to be contentious or, some pushback because we're a competitor of that platform. When we're talking about other situations, how about we talk about carriers a little bit, playing nice with carriers in the sandbox?
Sure,
Mike?
absolutely. So let's start just kind of from our history around LTL. We have, God, I'd have to check the exact numbers. It came about 80 different carriers integrated via API on the LTL side, and each one of those could have a rating API, an electronic pickup request API, a tracking API, documents API, right? So there's probably just on the LTL side alone, there's 250 roughly to 300 integrations that we have. Now, what does that mean for playing nice in the sandbox? Well, what that means is that customers that use our LTL engine don't have to go to 100 different websites to rate everything, to put in all the data each time for every shipment and then compare them. Most people listening have seen LTL rating engines, so I'm not saying this is anything monumental, but that all plays into, playing nice with carriers. Now, we also do it on the truckload side, right? So you want to tender loads to some dedicated capacity that you have, we'll set up EDI 204s and send them over. Look, from a technology perspective, sure, EDI is dated, but it works, and it's a big piece of the supply chain, right? No one would argue that. So being nice and playing nice in the sandbox, from a pure technology perspective, we would say, yes, we don't want to use EDIs. But the sandbox requires EDIs. So you know what? We do EDIs as well, right? So we do it for tracking, we do it for invoicing, we do it for order flow. All of these things to just make it easier to work with us, make it easier for our clients to work with their vendors and their partners, right? So on that same note, Cam, I want to kick it back to you in regards to complementary third-party software vendors, so other freight tech providers, and how we view, because you've been really big in changing that for the company since you stepped into the CEO role, really doubling down on true partnership, not just integration, but true partnership. Can you unpack that a little bit for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big believer in this subject. And so one of the things that I try to focus on is that we don't want to be great at everything. Any
Mm.
software provider that says, oh, we actually support all of this natively and we're great at all these different things. Well, the reality is over time, that's going to break down. As a technologist, I just know that that's not sustainable and that's not scalable because it's not going to be best in class. If you do everything, you're going to be mediocre at everything. And so one of our big beliefs is build a really solid TMS foundation and then partner with best in class. And where that really plays well is when you're dealing with mid to large size brokers or clients. So for example, one of our newer integrations that's coming down the pipeline, like Text Locate, of course we could go out there and integrate Twilio and offer our own SMS platform and handle all that ourselves. And we're more than capable of doing so, but I choose not to. And the reason we choose not to is because we want to focus on the core application. What are we going to do really well? And leave that up to a company that just focuses on that one subject. And that goes the same with like pricing platforms. Of course, we have tools that can help you price truckload directly in our interface that we've built, that we own, that are a part of our creation. But at the same time, we want to introduce a competitive products out there like Green Screens, Cargo Chief, Parade, or different platforms that exist, so that they all show up in our interface all at the same time. And that's the same thing with load boards and anything else. Is a lot of us are really good at certain things, and the ones that are claiming that they're good at everything typically aren't great at everything. They're mediocre at everything.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
big believer in that. So Mike, flipping it back at you, how do we play nice in the sandbox? Talking about partnership and collaboration.
Yeah. So, it's been really nice, like I said, since you stepped into the CEO role, being that, kind of the whole mindset of our company changed around partners, being real partners, not just being integrations. Because when I started here, before you were CEO, we had a bunch of integrations. We didn't have a bunch of partners, right?
Yeah.
And what I see on the sales side is it's changed now. Like, we actually get referrals from our partners, and we actually give referrals to our partners. That never happened when I first started with the company, right? We were never getting referrals from anybody that we integrated with, because not your fault or my fault, by the way, but that just was not the mindset of the company at the time, right? And so by being someone who plays nice in the sandbox, right, it's like, hey, now I have friends. Because if you don't play nice in the sandbox, everybody's like, oh, that kid sucks. He doesn't share his toys. He destroys my sandcastles, right? And he thinks that he's whatever, right? Better than everyone else, or can do everything for himself, right? So it's been really fun for me. Let me think about this. I probably, like, at least half of the deals that I've closed so far this year, personally closed so far this year, were referrals of some sort, right? And that is a direct result of the work that I think we've done as a company to be in the good graces of our partners. Now, it's a two-way street. So, like, the way that works is by us giving as well, and by us promoting our partners as well, and by us being someone who's easy to work with. Because let's say, just as an example, Green Screens sends a referral over, and it works well, and the integration is seamless, and the client is happy. Well, now they're much more inclined to send someone over the next time, because they know, hey, that worked really well last time. Mike, Cameron, and the team took really good care of them. The integration went off flawlessly, and we have faith in them, right? And so it's this kind of connected network where, like, to your point, it's like, hey, you guys are really good at that. And you're, like, really specialized and able to obsess over this one problem. And that's great for everybody, because specialization means that everybody gets better, right? And so then we can focus, like you said, Cam, what do we focus on? Really nice workflows, good UI, being a nice repository for all your data to then marry up all your tools and live in from a day to day. So, it's, I'm trying to choose my words wisely here. It's realizing that there's enough to go around for everybody, And it's realizing that we're all better together, that if we don't all try to just step on everybody and try to be all things to all people, like you said, then everybody wins. Now, don't get me wrong. I will compete like hell against all of our competition directly from a TMS perspective, right? But I have a healthy respect for them as well. You know this. There are times when I say, hey, we're not the right fit. You might want to go look at X, Y, or Z TMS because that's okay. We're not the right fit for everybody. And being able to play nice in the sandbox, maybe, hey, again, I'm not good at building this type of sandcastle, but Tommy over there in the other corner of the sandbox, you should see the sandcastles he builds, dude. They're really cool. I saw what he was building. Go look over there. And it's just being willing to not be the guy all the time, right? I think that's kind of how we look at it, at least. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
No, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. You know, I almost want to change the subject slightly because a lot of the people that are following us are going to be freight brokers, are going to be looking at this content. And right now, we're really focused on the technology side of the freight tech space. What about for the brokerage side? So what does it mean for a brokerage to be tech forward? So one of the things that we do really, really well is help a lot of our clients, especially the ones that are focused on hyper growth, integrate with their shippers. And we've built a lot of robust technology that allows them to do that. And if I were to start a freight brokerage today with my knowledge of building and running a TMS platform, I would be looking at who are my 5 to 10 largest clients today. And if I'm not integrated, how can I integrate with them? And what are the different paths that I can take to work with the technologies that these shippers work on? Now, we've done integrations with Shopify. We've done integrations with ERPs, WMSs, CMSs. There's all these different types of integrations, and they can be done in different ways, whether that be flat file, EDI, API, or anything else in between. There are ways for you as a freight brokerage to be looking at the marketplace and figuring out ways to make yourself more valuable to your client. So in my opinion, from working with hundreds of freight brokers and seeing how things unfold, if you currently have a large client, let's focus on a single client for the freight brokerage. If your largest customer is not integrated directly into your TMS, that largest client of yours, outside of the relationship you may have, can be wowed by another individual and be taken from you very, very easily. Now, imagine a world where you are integrated and you're integrated well. So if you look at the actual shipper and you identify what technology they're using, whether that be an SAP type platform or WooCommerce or WordPress, whatever it may be, how they're managing their freight, or even Excel, whatever it is, you can look at different ways of integrating their technology directly into your TMS so that all of their workflows or their shipments automatically flow into your application. So you're reducing the amount of labor and work on that shipper. Now, the benefit of that you need to look at is now you're not only selling this, hey, I can save you money on your shipping rates, which there's a lot of people can do that. That's nothing special. What is special is when you help automate their workflows, reduce their overhead costs of actually managing their freight, and you're actually focused on making them more efficient on creating the items that they're selling. So you're now adding a new metric, a new KPI that you get to offer into your shippers that you didn't have before. So if I were in a freight brokerage seat today, I would be focused on how can I integrate with my top 10 clients? And I'd be reaching out to my tech provider, whether it's us, whether it's competitors of ours in the industry. I would get on a phone call, set something up, reach out to them, make sure that partner is really about you and they're actually going to be there, be part of these integrations to help you and guide you and your customer to a successful integration path so that you guys can actually complete this integration. So, Mike, I don't know your thoughts on that, but over the years, what I would say is that our largest customers, seeing them 100%. Grow, I see 20, 30, 40, 50, or even multiple, 100, 200 growth percentages.
Yeah.
It's all from integration, almost
every single time. And it's funny you mention it because it boils down to the same thing. It's like, what are you doing? You're removing friction and making it easier to work with you, right? And it's the same way that we approach our partners, our integrations, as our brokers should do the same. And I've seen it time and time again with you. You know, hey, you'll tell me, I'm not going to say names, but so and so client, they're working on integration with so and so shipper. It's going to bring in $25 million in freight a year just through that one integration. We're going to automate all of it. Those things are possible if you play nice in the sandbox, right? If you make it easy to work with you, if you provide the tooling through API or EDI to be able to do it, and at the very least, lean on people like us or whoever the hell else you work with, doesn't have to be us, to be able to do that for you. I want to take that in another direction as well with the broker side, and something that we're seeing more and more as we're kind of bringing our clients together. So there's a couple things we do. We mentioned it on some of our calls, the heads together piece, where it's like everybody brings their ideas together, plays nice in the sandbox, and kind of elevates ideas in the platform with each other. But the thing we're seeing recently, which is cool, and again, I won't name names, but for example, we have a client who may be in the in the Northeast, and they may need cross-docking facilities in Texas, let's just say. Well, because we've created this network where our clients can collaborate and talk with each other, now all of a sudden people are working together, and hey, my services are complementary to what you're doing up here. And if you have something down here in Texas, go ahead and bring it into my facility. And if I have something in the Northeast, I'll send it to you. And you don't, again, with the brokers, you don't have to be good everywhere. You don't have to be good at everything. But if you have someone, let's say, again, I have freight in Texas, I know someone because of the 3PL Systems network, or whatever your network is. I'm just using ours as an example, that I can utilize them and they can utilize me. It's the same thing. It's everybody's working together to benefit through their strengths. And we have been seeing that play out throughout our client base. It's, hey, can I talk to a customer of yours who implemented Highway? This just came up recently, right? Yeah, sure. Talk to them. Okay, yeah, it looks good. Here's what to look out for, so on and so forth. And I think it's just realizing there's a lot of freight. There's a lot of freight. It's okay to help each other out.
It's a really interesting thing, because I would say 5-6 years ago, our client base didn't want to talk to one another. And now it's like way different. The ones that are focused on hyper growth and things like that, they're working together. They're identifying ways to work together in ways that, like, hey, I can't actually service this huge account on the West Coast. Do you mind taking that portion of the freight, and then I'll handle all the East Coast? And they're just finding ways to uniquely collaborate with one another, which is something I've actually not seen
It's
before.
new.
It's much newer. And I felt like it really happened after 3PL Live, when we had that in-person user group. We started seeing this just incredible collaboration amongst the clients that took advantage of it. And so it's pretty amazing seeing what people are solving for now that just I didn't see before.
Yeah, no, it's been nice. It's been a welcome change. And you and I have talked about it for years, right? It's like throughout the whole client base, it's like there's a lot of value to be extracted if everybody can. I hate to keep repeating myself, but if everybody can play nice in the sandbox, there's a lot of value to be extracted for everybody. But if you don't want to share your toys, right, then no one wants to play with you, right? Then you're not going to have any friends. So on that note, Cam, let's paint a picture a little bit of a lot of this is obvious, but what happens if you don't play nice in the sandbox, right? Tell me the downsides of not playing nice in the sandbox. What happens to me if I think I can do everything myself?
There's multiple ways to cut that pie. So from a technology perspective, if you're a technology provider, and I've seen this happen, it's actually happened to us with certain people over the years. Actually, early on, I would say that was like 8-9 years ago now. No, not even 7 years ago, where you're working with a technology provider and it has to be their way. It's my way or nothing. And immediately I stopped that conversation. We're not working with that company. We're going to work with other companies, and they're not going anywhere. But to talk about it from a freight brokerage perspective, if you're not playing nice like with others in the industry, or working in a collaborative effort to work with other freight brokers on solving complex issues for your customers, all the interactions I've seen over the years is you kind of are holding yourself back. And if you are one of the mindset of, oh no, we can do everything, we're this incredible company, we can do it all, which is a very weird way to me anyway to look at things where if you know other individuals in different parts of the United States that handle different modes of transportation, where say you're good at LTL and TL, but you're not great at drayage and intermodal, there are others in your network that you may not even know that you could actually reach out to, and they could offer this service to you so that you can offer it out to your client base. And it's the same thing that we're seeing right now with parcel. Parcel is becoming a much larger requirement for a lot of these clients because shippers want to consolidate their freight to only one provider. Some of the stuff we're seeing right now, rather than having to work with all these different providers for different modes of transportation, they want to consolidate. And, we're seeing that actively with our users. And so you have to identify, if you've never moved parcel before, you're most likely not going to be an expert in it. And you might not want to play the game of, hey, no, I'm an expert in that, but you don't actually know about it. So working nice with others is really what's going to slingshot your organization into a hyper growth phase. In my opinion, it's more important than ever before with the market the way it is right now. Expand your service offering without having to expand your investment because you're working with people in your network.
Yeah. I was thinking, dude, while you were saying that, I can't think of a single, what I'll call decent sized brokerage who isn't friendly with their competition and with others in the business, right? Every single person that we've talked to who is in a leadership role, or even not in a leadership role, but at a brokerage of any decent size, they know everybody. Everybody knows them, and everybody thinks highly of them because they realize that they don't have to do everything on their own. They don't have to be the biggest and baddest in the room. They can just let their work talk for itself, right? And so it's interesting. You don't have any big successful brokerages that are walled off from the community.
There are the select few, but those select few are the multi-billion-dollar organizations. Yeah.
But they're the exception. They're not the rule, right?
Yeah, exactly.
100%. So yeah, no, it's just funny. I think so many people get clouded with, it's all ego driven. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm human, right? I can do it on my own. I don't need any help kind of thing, or no, don't worry, I'll take it on. But it's just one of those things. I think it comes with maturity. I'm still working on that piece, but I think it just comes with banging your head against the wall enough times and realizing maybe I can't do everything on my own, and maybe I don't have to do everything on my own, and that's okay, right? So and I think we've beat this horse to a bloody pulp at this point. Did you want to share maybe that the little proverb we were talking about before when we were planning for the show?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows it. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. It's a true statement. Again, being a TMS provider, we do get to work with hundreds of freight brokers of all sizes. And I will say that collaboration is what's driving majority of the growth for our larger freight brokers. So it's extremely important to look at. So, Michael, with that being said, do you want to close it out for us?
Yeah. So we'll be traveling next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're still trying to figure out when we're going to do the show. We'll probably do it maybe from like the airport or from the hotel, but we'll have something next week. It might be on a different day or a different time. We might even do it Saturday as we were floating around this morning. I don't know how many people would join live, but most of you guys are probably watching this after the fact anyways, so I don't think it matters too much. And then the week after, Cam, we have Matt Silver coming on, right, from Green Screens.
29th, I believe. Yeah.
So it's the week after next. Other than that, anybody who is listening, you guys are part of playing nice on the Sandbox for us. And we mean that, right? You guys are part of the network that we've been able to grow, allows us to do things like this and have these perspectives. So thank you guys all for listening, and have a good weekend. Outside of that, Cam, you got anything, man?
Nothing right now. We appreciate you all, and have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, everybody.